It's about that time of day when I come to you guys with another review of Love Island US Season 2. Are you ready for it? Get on it. I don't know why I love that like opening song, but whatever. Okay, judge me not, lest ye be judged. It's so crazy how I am in a parking lot and like guys are just driving in wondering why a girl is talking to herself, because they haven't figured out that I have a camera in my face. But we move on because that is how committed I am to drop in the latest, the hottest, okay, not the latest, like the oldest the latest oldest review in these review streets. All right, get with it. So, after the infamous Tower of Something challenge, we start off in the villa where Aaron pulls Justine aside and they're chatting, and then they just kind of talk about their families, where they came from, their experiences, and it was a really authentic, genuine conversation that actually wasn't boring. In my opinion, I think one of the most interesting things to talk about is your family, and I think it's actually very important to have that out the gate to see if you're compatible or if this is something that you're down for, especially if you're trying to cultivate like a deep, meaningful relationship that might be long term. So we learned that Justine actually is from the DRC, and I knew that from the gate, and she moved to Kenya as seeking political asylum with her family, getting away from the genocide in Kenya, and she was there for 4 years, and that's why she rocks that bracelet, and she moved to the States. She's talking about how she speaks a different language at home. She speaks Swahili, to which Aaron, who has 13 nephews and nieces since he was 6 or some crazy number like that, or 8, was like, oh, tell me more, Justine. Then she's like, I'm just gonna hit you with a line, with a word, nakupenda. And I was like, okay, nakupenda. And she said it really nicely, like without the accent, because you know your girl out here be speaking Swahili, so we're judging. And she did really well. So Aaron in his confessionals was saying like she just has a nice vibe, and that's the thing that everybody keeps on saying, that Justine just has a nice vibe about her, and I think she'd actually be a great chick to get to know in real life as a friend, like, and even as if you're a dude and you want to pursue like a wifey. I think Justine and a lot of other girls in the villa are. I think Sully is actually like wifey material. Like at first I was just like, not about that Sully life, but now I'm all about that Sully life. And I like how her voice sounds. It's so raspy. The only way I can get like a voice like that is like when I have a cold. Flu season, here we are. That is you're supposed to take the positive out of every negative situation. So next time you have a cold, think about the sexy, raspy voice you're gonna have. I was actually pleasantly surprised by the connection that Calvin and Faith are making over at Casa More. And I like what they're talking about like the need, how Calvin was like, oh yeah, I'm a giver, and I like, giving my partner and everything, and then he slowly switched up the conversation to like, oh yeah, and also in the bedroom I think communication is key. And I'm like, skirt, what you talking about in the bedroom? Like bedroom talk already? It confused me. I'm like, are the two phrases like connected? Were you talking about something in the first half of the sentence and then switched it over? So I'm just like giving him the side. I'm like, are you I don't want to say what I think he is, because if I speak my mind it'll come out like hate, and it's not really hate, and I know not everybody is on the same mental level. So since we are not telepaths out here, I'm not trying to confuse anybody, so I will just move along and keep my thoughts to myself. Then we see Caleb and Cher having a chat. Like, it was very like low key, like, you know, when you meet like a guy for the first time and he's cute and you're cute, or one of you is not sure you're cute and you're trying to not appear too excited about having a conversation, and everything is just mellow, everyone is trying to be cool. That's what their conversation was like. Obviously they have interest in each other, but they don't want to like say it outright. So am I really feeling them? Not right now, but they're feeling each other, because like Caleb was like, you know, whose bed are you sleeping in tonight? And she's like, whose bed am I sleeping in? And I like her style. I will just say that I like her style. And it was like, you already know, say less, sis, you're sleeping in my bed. And the funny thing is that I have this Drew Hill song, somebody sleeping in my bed. Anyways, so Mercy and Johnny chat, and I'm telling you, this chick is just like uber forward. She's like, can I put my leg on yours? Can I come a bit closer? Can you put your arm here? Can you touch? I'm like, skirt. I'm not Sally, but no ma'am, you may not touch. And like, she's wearing this scandalous outfit, and I'm like, with showing all the thigh meat. And I'm just like, sheesh. You can see like Johnny is having a hard time, and like she's really laying it on thick, and he's catching what she's throwing. So I don't feel sorry about anybody. I'm not mad about her forwardness. I think that is exactly what Casa Amor was intended to do, aka tempt people, not necessarily like push agendas on other people, if you get me. But I'd rather know that my guy is faithful to me by him going through something like that in Casa Amor and coming out with whatever outcome there will be, than him hiding his feelings and pretending, aka Connor and Mackenzie, I'm talking about you. And then, like, you know, I just want the truth to be known. So if that's what Johnny and Sally have to go through, let them go through it. And Sally herself said, you know, like, yeah, let him go, let him see what's out there. And then but Johnny has been the guy who's more so been putting that idea out there. So does that show that possibly there's something that he feels that he's missing? Or is he just like not a relationship guy? Think about it. So when they're talking, Sally is just like, I'm what you need and more. I'm everything. I'm a whole everything. And I think that is my new line. Every time I want to flex on somebody, I'll be like, I'm a whole everything, honey. You ain't got nothing on me. And then Johnny is talking about how he has a desire to, you know, keep whatever he has with Sally going. And then she's like, I don't want to hear Sally's name again. And I'm like, this chick is either super confident or super scary. Like, I don't know. And then so she was just like, you're supposed to live in the moment now, and what you're doing is not living in the moment. And then Johnny is like, I am living in the moment. Shut up. I'm living in the moment. Give me a kiss. Yeah, a whole kiss. What? Like, I'm shook. The girl is shook. How do I feel about that kiss? Damn, I don't know how I feel about that kiss, truth be told. Because I think, like, you can see the chemistry between them, and I'm just like, I like it, but at the same time, I'm like, at the expense of my girl, Sally? Whew. Hard. So over at the villa, they are really chatting, like they're all around in a circle. And then Mackenzie, look how quickly she jumped ship. She's like, oh my gosh, are people sleeping tonight? And I'm like, there's too much. She's like, Connor who? So they all pick. And then, so Justine ends up in bed with Aaron. Mackenzie ends up with Jalen. And I'm like, I just feel like Mackenzie honestly is a man thief. Like when Jalen came in, she was like, he said that he was into Moira, right? And then this entire time she's been crying about Connor this, Connor that, like bleeding her girlfriend's ear dry about Connor. And then when I'm not mad at the fact that she's choosing like someone, but then like if your friend hasn't been in a serious relationship as you have been, and then a new boy comes in and expresses interest in your friend, and like you jump in and grab that, I'm just like, I can't, honestly, I can't rocks with that. I don't. So that's where I'm a bit salty, as opposed to Mackenzie's move. She could have chosen any guy, but she had to pick Jalen. Moving on. Moira ends up with Pat. Kirsten ends up with Mike. Sally ends up with DeAndre. So Kirsten and Mike, I liked the chat that they had. I think it was earlier on in the previous episode where they were talking about like their jobs and their lifestyle, and she was talking about how she's a bartender and how that like was an issue for Carrington while they were on their horse riding date, because he's just like not really sure about that kind of life. So Kirsten felt judged, but then Mike was like, listen, I used to be a bartender before, and like I know what the lifestyle is like, blah 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 blah. So basically they are assuring each other, basically they are on this, they have the same understanding that they were in that industry to make money, and yes, it has a certain lifestyle, but then you shouldn't be judged by the career that you're making or where you are, because that is your journey, that's your process, and it doesn't determine where you're going to go, and it doesn't put you necessarily in like in that stereotypical role. So I was there for it, and I'm like, yes, please, like, boy, bye. Carrington needs to be out your mind, girl. And then, so over at Casa Amor, of course, Caleb is with Cher. Connor ends up with Janelle. Calvin is with Faith. Carrington is with Laurel. And I'm like, Laurel, you are going to get played so hard by Carrington. He's just not the guy for you. Like, no. Johnny is with Mercedes. Surprise. So those guys had like, now that they have made those arrangements, and I think I've jumped ahead of myself, but that's what they had decided was going to be their sleeping, whatever. So anyways, Johnny has a talk with the guys about what happened with his chat with Mercedes, and then he talks about like them talking about Sally, blah blah blah, but then them having that kiss and how they kept on kissing. And I've remembered something, like when they were making out, it's like Johnny was like, oh, you're gonna have to come here, and I'm like, why can't you go over there? You know, I'm just like, that's just like some two-stepping ish that I'm not about. Like, if you're feeling somebody, don't say, oh, she came on to me, as if like you didn't want that kiss yourself. I feel like that's a little bit insincere. It's like creating a kissing loophole, you know. You just want to use an excuse. Like if Sally ever like questions you about whatever happened, you just be like, oh yeah, she's the one who came on to me. But then you're not saying like, yeah, I was feeling the kiss, but I didn't want to initiate it. Like just trying to cover your tracks. So I wasn't feeling that. I feel like nah. If you're gonna make a move, make grown man moves without any regrets. But you can see he's regretting that, and I think he's actually going to lose Sally, and I'm not gonna feel bad when he loses Sally, because honestly, I'm not trying to compare the two girls, but I think they're very similar, but they're also very different, because someone doesn't have the same essence as another person. And I think Sally is it, but then he still wants to play the field. That's just the truth. That's just how I feel. But then he realizes how special Sally is, and he can't reconcile who he wants to be with who he is. Personal opinion. So then Carrington, when he hears that, back to the conversation, he is so excited. He was like, why didn't you leave with that, bro? And like you can see, like Carrington really wants to stir the pot. He just doesn't want to like find a connection on his own. He wants it to be like a whole group, like a squad. It's like a wolf pack. It's like, dude, just be on your journey by yourself, okay? Anywho, so Caleb is like, listen, I'm not saying this to judge you or make you feel bad, but then I think Sally might actually love you. Like, she might actually love you, bro. And then Johnny's like, oh no, what did I do? Whatevs. You know what you did. And then, so meanwhile in the villa, Sally is spiraling, thinking about what Johnny might be feeling, what he might be doing with the new girls, the blah blah blah, and she's realizing like, oh my gosh, I keep on falling. She's falling in love with the dude. Anywho, his guilt that he felt when he was with the boys did not last long, because let's just call Mercedes kryptonite, because Johnny can't seem to keep his strength to resist temptation when he's around her. So they're in bed and everything, and they had like a mad makeout session. Basically the entire night they were making out. So that's why I don't think like his feelings for Sally, I can't say that they're not real. I'm just saying Sally just needs to jump ship, basically. Next morning, they all wake up, all the girls behaved. And when it was so funny because Sally, she was like asleep like this, like, I am a vampire. I am not going to touch anybody while I sleep. And I'm like, good on you, girl. Good on you, staying faithful. You loyal. I see you, Sally. So the next morning, they're all out there having a chat. And then Sally's like, did any of you girls sleep better with your new, like, bedmate than you did with, like, any of the old boys? And then some of the girls are like, oh no, I pretty much slept the same. Others were like, nah, it was kind of different. And then like Justine was like, I slept the same. It wasn't different, but it was the same. Then so Moira's in the kitchen like cooking up something, and then Kenzie comes up to the kitchen talking about the conundrum between Jalen and Connor. And I'm like, wow, like I can't just stop it. And you can see in the beginning Moira is just like of all people to talk to about this, why are you talking to me about this? Like, Jalen chose me, you done picked him, what you trying now here, girl? Like, it's like so disrespectful in my opinion. And I would have the same attitude. I'd be like, please, like, I think she should have walked out on Moira the same way she walked out on James, because we know Moira be rude like that. She a rude girl. But then she was just like, yeah, listening to the conversation, and then she was just like, yeah, I think if you have like this type of feeling and you're questioning Connor, if someone new is coming here, like, you know, I think maybe you should just like listen to that feeling. Basic advice. Anybody could have told you the same thing. It's not like heartfelt. Anyway, am I being a hater with my conclusion? Am I reading the whole thing wrong, or do you think like it's kind of like a low-key competition just based off their Moira's body language and Mackenzie's actions? Let me know in the comments. So obviously we're seeing a connection at Casa with Faith and Calvin. They kiss, and I'm like, oh, does that mean Moira is going to get dumped? And do you think Moira is going to make a connection with someone in the villa? And then Cher and Caleb, like, actually we know they slept together in the bed. And the next morning Caleb was like, oh my gosh, guys, I am not a cuddler, like, at all. But like, we cuddled and there was a lot of tension there. I felt like I was really holding myself back. And I'm like, oh, looks like your girl Justine is going to be single. The boy has jumped ship. Oh yeah, he jumped the ship. So is Justine vulnerable, and is she going to make a connection with Aaron or somebody? I don't know. And then he was like, yeah, even though all that happened with Cher and everything, like, I'm still like thinking about Justine, and I just don't feel like Justine is just an ordinary girl. I think she's actual wifey material. So I think it's gonna be a toss-up. I can't read that situation. I don't know who he's gonna pick. Woo! Johnny and Mercedes, the next day, they're like, oh, how was your night? Oh, how was your night? It was hot. So they're talking about how they had the mad makeout session. But then Johnny's like kind of backpedaling, and then he's like, yeah, you know, I'm just not gonna get my head turned by just someone being pretty. I need more to build a deeper connection. And then she's like, what do you mean by more? Blah, blah, blah. Then he's just like, basically, he concluded that she should feel open. She should be open to explore like the other guys, just because he's just not there yet with her the way he is with Sally. But he's not allowed to say Sally, y'all. So he said about what you don't want me to talk about. As they're having that conversation, Connor's like, whoop, let me steal your girl. Let me go have a chat with her. And then as they're having the chat, she's being asked, Mercedes is like, I think you and Mackenzie are incompatible, and why can't you be yourself around her? Why do you feel like the only way you can be free is that you have to be outside the villa to actually be yourself and express yourself? Why can't you be that way around her anyway? And I was like, okay, I like it. The forwardness is not just in terms of physical things, but then even in terms of like, I just think basically she approaches life directly. I think she doesn't play around, and I'm here for her. And then like Connor is basically talking about Mackenzie and then trying to defend her and talking about like how their relationship is strong. And I'm like, by G, then why still a whole girl if you're going to end up talking about like Mackenzie and end up defending your relationship and end up defending her actions? Like, I just don't get it at all. And I'm like, at this point, I'm just like, is Connor actually the problem? Yes, I think he's the actual problem. I'm not saying Mackenzie doesn't have issues, but Connor's the one who started this whole back and forth, right? Mackenzie, the problem with her is how she reacted in the beginning to little tiny things. She made mountains out of molehills. But then, and Connor is the one who started noticing those things. But the mistake he made is that he didn't come to her and tell her to cut it out. He went like behind, like talking. He had confidential conversation with the boys and Lauren about Mackenzie's behavior. And then every time there was a point of having a resolution with Mackenzie, he didn't tell her the whole story. So there's a lot of like, he's scared of Mackenzie basically. So that's why I'm like, why should it be only on Mackenzie's shoulders? Connor has a big problem. He's like sending so many mixed signals. Like, I can't land on that airstrip from all the signals you're sending, Connor. So then Pat talks to Kirsten, and then what's her name? Sally's doing her hair, and then it's like, I haven't had a chance to talk to you ladies, and I'd really like to know where you guys are at. Then Kirsten is like, oh, you know, it's hard to let go of the connections that I made, especially with Carrington and the whole situation. Like, obviously he's still on my mind, but I'm open to explore. I'm like, dude, like I don't know, what are these girls not reading? Like, he dumped you, like, you're boring me. And then Mike also talks to Moira, and they're having like this conversation, and I think Moira is uber sweet. Yes, I say she's boring, but she's also sweet at the same time. And then she's like, oh, I think you're attractive, I think you're easy to talk to, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yes, I want to see this happening, but Moira, you're gonna like bring some zhuzh. You're gonna have to just add a little like sriracha, okay? Just a little. can't just be, just can't be sweet all the time. So then Faith and Calvin also talk about Moira at Casa Amor. And then Faith is like, I think you need someone quick-witted. Are you being fulfilled? Because I don't think Moira is someone who can give it back to you and have that, like, spice sauce. And I'm like, is that question shady or not? Like, I felt like it was somewhat shady, but she had a point there. It's what I'm saying. Like, she's sweet, but also, like, it may come across that she is boring at the same time. Then they had a challenge called raunchy races, and whichever house won would be rewarded with a party. Basically, it was all about kissing, and I think you guys should watch that. I really do. I recommend it. Basically, for me, the sauciest kisses were between Sally and Deandra, Janelle and Caleb. I thought I really enjoyed seeing that. Obviously, Mackenzie and Jalen had a kiss. Mercedes and Connor had a kiss. Oh, the Mackenzie, Jalen, Mercedes, Connor, their kisses was where they were dared to pick an islander that they could share like a passionate kiss with people who liked each other. And so the girls are the ones who won. Mackenzie and Jalen won that round. And then Mackenzie was like, oh, I doubt that Connor would be capable of, like, sharing a passionate kiss. And I'm like, screw her. Like, don't you like this boy? Weren't you crying about this boy? Weren't you being anxious and everything? Everything you put the whole house through about Connor, and then now you're like throwing shade. I'm like, I can't. And I liked the Sally and Deandra kiss because it made Johnny hot. And then, so the funniest thing, like, that's how that whole episode was about. And then in the end, they were all dared to partner up and share passionate kisses. So everyone in the villa and in Casa Amor were supposed to like grab a partner and kiss, and damn, words cannot express the shock. Words cannot express the shockage. Okay, it was just like, I can't. And the villa won, and everyone was just like, the boys were so bummed at Casa Amor, was so bummed, especially Johnny. And Johnny, actually, after everyone had finished kissing and everything, he grabs Mercedes and then he kisses her and kisses her and kisses her, like a never-ending kiss. And it's like, okay, whoa, well, tell us how you really feel. And Caleb was just like, yeah, I think it went beyond the challenge and the dare, because them two were partnered up with different people, and when the collective kissing had stopped, Johnny grabbed Mercedes and did that. So he's just using that as an excuse. So, and in a confessional also, Carrington was just like, he thinks that Johnny is way more physically attracted to Mercedes than he is Sally, and I have to agree with that. And I'm just like, it doesn't look good for Sally. I think he's gonna end up making some big moves on Mercedes. Do I think it's gonna be a mistake? Yes, because I think Sally's all that in a bag of chips. Just gonna say that. I don't see Mercedes making a connection with anyone else. I'll be surprised if she does. But thank you guys for sticking around to this point. I know it's been super long, but that was a very saucy, very steamy episode for me, and I just had to get everything out, since this was a more recap style more than commentary style. But let me know in the comments what your favorite moments in this episode were. Do you see Sally making a connection with any other boys, even though she's thinking about Johnny? For me, I honestly hope she has a connection with DeAndre. DeAndre, I hope I'm saying his name right, and I can't wait to see her growth. I don't want to see her heartbroken and crying. Who do you want to break up that is a couple? Honestly, like, I've been very vocal. I want Connor and Mackenzie to break up. I want Calvin and Moira to break up, and I'm still team Justine and Caleb. But I won't be mad if they make connections with different people. Let me know in the comment section below. And thank you so much. Until the next one, peace, y'all.